Hello, and welcome to another episode of Purple Ponderings with Pankaj. Today, I have a very unusual guest, someone that I've had the pleasure of knowing over the last 2 years, actually, just before COVID. Rene Johnson is here, the Power Zone coach, and I started working with her. And so, today, in this series of interactions, I wanted to share and get to interview Rene and have her share her thoughts on how she's been able to help entrepreneurs and leaders in our space. So, for those of our listeners who don't know much about you, Rene, if you can take a few minutes, just give your introduction, your background, and tell everyone one thing that most people don't know about you, that would be a great start.
Okay. Well, thank you for having me, Pankaj. It's been a pleasure getting to know you over the last couple of years and partnering with you and your business success. So this was an honor to have the tables flipped on me with that. I'm affectionately known as the Power Zone Coach because that is my passion and helping leaders find their voice so they can inspire the changes in themselves to achieve the visions they never thought possible. And it's uniquely how I go about it is positioning from what I call your power leaks and helping business owners identify and affectionately plug those. And I'm sure we'll get into some of those later today. But the passion for small business has been mine. I've been an entrepreneur since I was 13 years old, and I'm now a grandma. So that tells you a lot. And I've had different businesses. I've had this one. Power Zone Coaching since 2004, and I'm thrilled to be alive and kicking through COVID and through everything else and having my clients thriving and succeeding. And so I'm one of the fortunate ones that I get to play in my passion zone every day.
Awesome. And don't forget the step about the one
Oh,
thing
yes,
about
the
you.
unique. Oh, gosh. Do you know, I'm like a cat. I have 9 lives. I've gone through 7. So I have some very unique stories. But let's just, one that comes top to mind is that I've been face to face with a bear before, like literally as close as the screen is to me.
Oh
Seriously.
my God.
Yeah, that's a longer story, but it was out camping and it got into, I don't know how much you want me to explain, but it got into my minivan. I was out camping with girlfriends with my kids were really young. So way back in California in the Kings Canyon area, they had bear watching notices. And we were sitting at a campfire one night, giving you a quick version of it, is I heard like the
Yeah.
sound of glass or like ice, like it was like, shh. I thought, somebody just dumped their cooler out on the road because we were positioned down below the tents and where the vehicles were. And I just kind of got this uneasy mama bear feeling, right? And so I said, I'm going to go check. So I walk up the little trail and I had my flashlight and I'm going up alongside my cool minivan and seeing the light shine on something. I'm like, hey, that's not ice. That's glass. And next thing I know, I bring the flashlight up to the passenger side of the van, and there's a big brown bear with his face sticking out of the window, and I'm in the
Oh,
flashlight in his
wow.
face. It's a good thing it didn't take a swat on me. Of course, that immediately made me run and scream bear. We got our pans and everything, and watching my van be demolished as it rocked back and forth trying to get out. And we called the ranger and all this. But long story short is that it did get out. It did cause a lot of damage with my insurance agent. And I know you're in insurance, we'll get into, said, I believe that story. I don't even need to like come out and do seriously, they've had me for 13 years at that point. And oh, that's a good, they trust me with what happened. And but we found out there was a little juice box. We had to use bear boxes so that they didn't get into anything. And a little kid during the hike had left a juice box on the floor. And you could see with the flashlight, bear schnoz dripping all around. So it'd been up on its paws looking in for it. And then it decided to bust in and got stuck.
Wow.
There you go.
Wow. That is an unusual story. So, yeah, I can't think of many people who'd say, I came this close to the bear and got away without a scratch. So, yeah, that's an unusual story. Amazing. So. Not the first time I feel danger came close to you. You were able to magically get the universe to, do its thing and get the danger to stay away from you. Well, let me start by asking something. Rene, in your experience working with startups and business leaders, uh, what do you think is the one reason that's common in terms of a problem that they face, which attracts them to work with someone like you?
God, there's a couple of them, but let me just laser in on one. As confident as business leaders are in order to take that journey, step into that position, be an entrepreneur, at some point in their journey, they're going to need a level up of that personal confidence in order to reach that bigger vision that I talk about, the visions they never thought possible. And they're going to come up against a comfort zone, and whether they choose to let that impede their progress and hold them back, or they decide to reach outside themselves for some self-awareness, some opportunity to build some new business consciousness of how they're going to grow as a leader, and then carve out those new lanes with their new knowledge is a vital skill to have, because we can only play at the level that we understand. And yes, you've heard things in quotes, but I'm dead serious. Everybody that I work with at some point in the experience, if not a multiple times, will come upon a comfort zone. But let me tell you, that's lucky, because if you're willing to face it and you're able to stretch out of it, you now create for yourself a larger power zone. And in that is where many successful opportunities will behold you. And it's important to know that your business will only grow at the level you're willing to grow as a leader yourself. So one of my taglines is become a leader in your life and business. So leader in life has to be there. And I see that in the way that they manage their employees and lead, the way they delegate or don't. I mean, I can show you all the symptoms or the power leaks that I spoke about earlier, that from not being willing to address and break down that comfort zone and use the knowledge, not as something to beat yourself up or feel bad about, because I think when we're successful, we often think, well, I should know that. How come I don't know that? I don't want anybody else to know that I don't know it. I mean, with the messaging, right? But as you know, Pankaj, what I teach is take those out and actually face them. When we do that and we look at those for what they are, they can become stepping stones. And now you can stand on the shoulders of it with that new information and a new perspective. And I've seen clients go from things that battled them for years to within a week, life-changing, and then the business shortly following after with that.
Got it. No, I think, and I can personally, sort of relate and share, because there are several people in my shoes, right, who want to be entrepreneurs, and they're in their journey, and it's a journey of self-discovery, right? And it's also a journey of discovering the business opportunity, etc. And you're right that both of those are sort of interconnected, and I've seen that. But one of the things that I think I liked was also kind of, you're not just a coach as in who just talks, right? You have tools, and you have workshops and exercises and
books
and sort of there's material that goes along with truly becoming that coach who can see the player and see the strengths and weaknesses and sort of work. So tell us a little bit about how like this holistic system works for someone like me.
Okay. Well, you're right in that my charge is to build partnerships. I basically do an interview. Not everybody's going to be a fit for me, and I'm not going to be a fit for everyone, and I'm okay with that. But those that are ready, it is a powerful journey together, and they will get me as their partner, and I roll my sleeves up, and I become, in some cases, I'll become their outsourced COO. And when I say I do have other coaches that will fulfill different parts as well, so that there's plenty of me to go around through my processes, which you eloquently laid out there. And so you have to have those processes so that you can create a systemized approach and you can guarantee your results, right? But because I've been doing this for nearly 30 years, I can not only intuitively, but with experience and knowledge, pull out and organize my program to fit you now and plug those immediate leaks, and then start to build out those foundations and run as fast as you're able, with sometimes pulling you back so you do the work so you don't have to come back and chase your tail later. So I work from my 6 power zone principles, and they were revealed to me over, gosh, like I said, I've been in the business industry since I was a youngin', and I love business and I'm passionate about it. And as I went through that in my own education and college, and then getting my coaching degree and building this out and writing my books, I discovered that there were 6 key principles that really made a life-changing difference in the profitability of the leader and the business. So we want to back up for a second, in that profitability for me is not the bottom line. If we're doing the inside the well-being, which now comes not from yourself out, your leadership out into organizational culture, and then into the systems, into all these various things, customer care, all the various things we teach, then the byproduct is profitability. It happens every time, and so forth. So we will focus on numbers, but that is going to be one of our KPIs. It is not the whole enchilada, because we have to have all this in place. And by doing that, we are truly building then a culture of accountability that wants to perform, wants to enlist in the vision, wants to give you the best ideas. And you as a leader are learning how to manage that growth along the way and how to delegate to others. So the first principle, just lightly run through them, if that's okay, Pankaj. You're the guide today, not me. I'm in a different seat. Yeah. And I want to preference that I have found, and I have various books. I'm looking over here at my other business book, I've got 7 books, and my Powers of Mastery book, Leaving Your Comfort Zone. And then all the parts in between are based on my 6 Power Zone principles that came to me through my work and being inspired to develop these. And so we need to understand, first of all, in our leadership role, we need to understand our voice. What makes up our voice? And it's not just the speaking and communication, but it is based on our values and how we will use those to inspire change in ourselves, and then walk our talk and being that example in all areas of our life. And then it goes into 2 other areas that we focus in on: leading change, inspiring the change. There's ways to inspire people to grow and develop that I guarantee you haven't seen before, that will make it easy on you, so that you're not pushing and pulling and demanding or wondering and micromanaging, okay, but you're leading and guiding and inspiring. We really believe in systematizing, but not so that you forget about the people. It becomes a backbone for the people to grow and shine and use those. So empowered leadership is one of our core ones, but incidentally, that is actually number 6. And I wanted to start there first, because when I teach on the leadership business development, we take a portion of that in the beginning, as you know, and then we bring it back and we connect it to number 1, and then we go through and then bring back the back end. There's a reason why, because we want to define your voice and your values, but then we want to do what? And Pankaj knows this, is design your vision of success, okay? And I can't tell you how many businesses don't have a vision of success, don't know what it is, may assume they have it in a mission. It's not that, it's not a to-do list, it's not a dusty old plaque on the wall that you never touch and nobody else sees and hidden and all this. So we need to have our target, because that's going to tell us everything. Are we reaching for it? Is this action, is the way I'm showing up, is it fulfilling it? Yes or no? And you need to be able to answer it that quickly, so it becomes a driving force and shaping decisions and how you use your time and inspiring your employees and so forth. And then we go into the second principle, which is about taking essential risk. So the risk part is an inside out job. Okay. It's inside out, as you know, Pankaj, and it is learning. And I'm a beacon of that. I've gone through, like I said, 7 major stories in my life to learn what that is. But risk is an inside out. And in the business format, we're looking at you as a leader and where you want to grow and shift out of your comfort zone, but also where on the outside where your strengths, your weakness, your opportunity, your threats are, and some other elements inside the business component in the way that you react with your customers, how you're looking at your bottom line, your financial, your team performance, and inside of the community that you serve as well. And nowadays, community involvement and leaving that legacy behind as a community leader and a business owner is so important. In fact, I don't work with clients who don't have a legacy of some sort to give back to their community. And you may not know what it looks like, but you have to have that desire because it comes full circle. And I truly believe that with it. Right?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
And then we go into how do we now we've got a big vision. We have our leadership voice. We're excited. We're passionate. We're willing to face our gremlins, our risk, and we're willing to grow. Well, now it's like, okay, but I got everything I need to do every day on my calendar, on my desk, and people knocking at my door. Okay. And what happens at this point without a coach at your side that has proven processes that can mold to you is you will slowly fall back. And then you won't feel very good about yourself, or you won't be able to communicate effectively to others. And then that's another trickle down negative effect. So we need to create what I call a focused action plan. And there's a very systemized approach that I have that will help you take the big 1-year vision and chunk it down per quarter, per month, per week, and very clearly know exactly what you're doing and be able to be accountable. And best part, reward yourself along the way. Okay? Because I believe that a leader that doesn't celebrate success is a leader not worth following. Okay? We could speak all day on that one. And then we move into what I call confidence blockers. And these are all my proprietary systems, right? A high level of them. And if we're doing it right and we're growing and developing with it, is we will begin facing another layer of our comfort zone so we can grow through it. And I have identified through all of the work I've done in education and training and speaking internationally and so forth is there are 4 confidence blockers that if we recognize what they are, we can actually then mitigate their influence on us and grow beyond. If we don't, then they run in a very vicious cycle. And when I'm listening to clients who come to me and we're just discovering what their journey is and what they want, I'm listening for which one of those are present in their life. And as soon as we find out what that is and we start to be able to address it, the relief that comes, the freedom that comes, the excitement of what's possible that comes, it is amazing. So did you know that fear has 4 actual faces? There's 4 different elements of fear. We won't go today into that, but there is. If you're curious, reach out later. Okay. On that one.
No, I think, yeah.
Right. You know that one. So I'm just speaking to your audience actually, but, and then qualities of confidence. So as you're growing and changing, you're going to change. You're going to change on the inside and the outside. And in leadership, in life, it's interacting in relationships and setting boundaries and a variety of things. And back on the confidence blockers, one of the key ones that I find with leaders is about time management and not honoring the approach of their time. And when you fast forward into the qualities of confidence that I teach on, those boundaries come into place, and people will sometimes go, what's different about you? Did you cut your hair? Did you lose weight? What's different? But it's really more that you've really understand the qualities of leadership and which ones work for you and which ones work against you, and how to tune in and what I want to say, pinpoint that, refine it for you so that it works really effective and your job becomes easier and you can lean into your talents and your skills, those best qualities each and every time. And one of the key areas in that is around communication. We spend a lot of time in the business arena in that module, improving communication. And boy, if you're in a business now, you know how valuable that is, from customers to employees to your coworkers and so forth. Now we swing back around to the 6th one and final. We have grown through, we've used that voice, we've used those principles that I've just talked about, but now we need to actually lead that change like never before. And this is where my clients go from doubling to tripling their business. Once that foundation's laid and we've gotten through that and we have identified the right clients and products and things, this is where sky's the limit. And that foundation starts to work for them. And I'm really proud, I have to say that of my clients, number one, of leaning in and trusting the process. But to have your clients say they wish they would have found you 10 years ago, and you hear that over and over, I'm really proud of this, of the Power Zone principles and the system that they create for repeatable year after year after year, where the investment is return on investment year after year for them, because it's not once and done. They keep using these, and they have access to these, and they keep growing and developing. So that is, I mean, that's a lot, a mouthful, and there's more broken down. And trust me, as I said earlier, I become a guide and a partner and a good listener. And sometimes I have to, put a little fire up your butt, get you done, and find out what that gremlin is telling you you're not capable of. And sometimes, I've got to I got to listen and make sure that I'm going in the direction with you. So it truly is a gift of partnering with my clients.
Yeah, no, thank you for that overview. I think you kind of, put your finger on all of the things that I've gone through personally. And you're absolutely right about a couple of things. I wanted to share that with you because recently I started helping some companies in their aspirations to go, a little bit more deeper in the insurance vertical. It's an area that I've been working on very passionately.
Mm-hmm.
And I find that people don't have the mission, vision, values, the vision of whatever version of the vision of success, like some version of vision of success, which is understood by all. And it's not that, and they are successful in the way that they are running the businesses. But I just feel that having that aspect is so critical in today's age, because I cannot foresee anybody wanting to join a company today, just if you think about it from a team hiring standpoint, where they cannot see, like, what does this company stand for? Does it align with my personal values? And whether we oldies, like it or not, although I'm so impressed by the younger generation, the Gen Zs of the world, they see that. They want to see what is the, values, what is the community sense that you have,
Yes.
And not just like as a, in a very, very fake manner, right? Where everybody's just talking about corporate social responsibility and doing nothing. No, they want to hone in and go deep dive into what do you personally have done? What is the company wanting to do? And see if that's in alignment with their aspirations. So that just that aspect, right? Of having that exercise and the answers, along with the tools, like you're not just telling what to do, but also how to do, and then keeping you on track, I think is very, very, powerful. So I wanted to share this with my audience that as poor as I was as a startup entrepreneur, this was one of the best returns and investment that I made. And it wasn't easy, as Rene knows. I was a hard customer to begin with, but I leaned in and I learned that, there is a lot of value that comes out of this engagement and interaction.
Very well said. Thank you. Thank you, Pankaj. I appreciate that. Just one thing I want to lean in on that, absolutely, on the marketing and hiring. In fact, one of our Hiring for Success programs is about making sure you know how to use your company values in interviewing, because if you can't find somebody minimally 80% or more, you've got the wrong hire. They're going to tell you what you guys you're going to get enchanted with each other quicker. There's a variety of things. So I'm so glad that you brought that up, because yes, in hiring our program, knowing what those values are, being able to communicate that vision, what's in it for them, and how to get them to enlist in it is going to really help you with a lot of heavy lifting and turn those new employees into a profit engine for you, a profit center very quickly.
Absolutely. So so that's amazing. So let me talk to you a little bit about the experiences and sort of the outcomes. And you shared a little bit about sort of how you've seen them benefit, like different customers benefit and what. So give me an example of maybe a couple examples of, what that looked like, right? How did that impact not just the business, but also the personal lives of some of these entrepreneurs that you work with today?
Gosh, there's good question, because there's so many. Comes top to mind first would be an executive in a large banking institute, and came to me a referral, which most of my clients come from, is referral, and that's a great place to be. The results speak for themselves. And she was at
And
a,
so did I. So did I. So
yeah,
shout
that's
out
right.
to
In fact, he
Corey.
might be one of those stories. Yeah,
Yeah, Corey
exactly.
Warfield. So shout out to him because he
Yeah,
connected us.
exactly. Fantastic, Corey. She never heard of coaching before, never had done it. And the client that she was referred from had worked with me as an executive all the way to get a CEO position in the banking, which is, it's not as many women in the CEO banking. And so that was a great feat together to work through that. And she was successful and smart and in her own right. So very honored to partner with her. And so when she was on a panel speaking and she was talking about this and her work with me, Amanda, I can say Amanda because she has her testimony all over my stuff anyway, heard it, and she started thinking to herself, this is important. I think this is what makes this story unique, is that here she was successful as a CFO for many, many years, maybe 12 plus years at that time, and been in the industry for many years, and thought that was her stopping point. And that was good enough. And I call that more of the tolerant phase, though I think she was more just kind of not aware, because some people will tolerate and resist. That's a different tolerant phase, if you will. But she was just more, hadn't really thought about it. But when she heard the ladies on the panel speak to their aspirations of their leadership and the impact they were having as now CEOs, it turned a bug in her ear, in her head, like, well, why not me? How come I've never thought about being a CEO? I have what it takes. And to me, that gives me goosebumps, because that's a trickle down success story from someone else to someone else. And the first person that referred to her came from somebody else and someone else, the legacy effect of the work I do. And so she talked to her afterwards and shared her story. Annette did to Amanda and got my contact information. And she got an invitation, as my clients are allowed to do a gift session. And we had a conversation, and she didn't have a clue what it was, but without hesitation, having the confidence of success right in real time, but also the way that we energetically connected during that, she leaned in. And I tell you what, she is one of my pride and joys. She just got back from a huge CEO convention, and she has become a leader not only in the industry but a leader in her community. She never spoke before in public. She's speaking. She's got published articles. She's learned how to delegate and grow. And she's now the reason this started is that she got passed over in her company. They brought an outside male CEO in and didn't ask her to be CEO. Okay. And so she got passed over, and that was like enough. And so, but she's learned how to be equal in those planes and communicate, and she's setting her sights and actually has created a really great opportunity for herself to move into that next legacy position. But her style was very, very CFO, right? More analytical, more laid back. And she has come out of her shell. She is bubbly. She's confident. She says it's the best thing she did. She learned how to find her voice just like you. She's continued to use the tools. She's been recognized in so many ways now in the company she's in, and be able to partner with leaders like never before. Her voice is what's looked to during the board meetings instead of the CEO. She wants to eventually move into that role eventually. But she's come full circle from being meek and mild and not even expecting accelerating her career to now having new heights at this later part in her career and having tremendous success. So that'd be one, awesome. Right, with it. We could talk about Corey, but we could also talk about, Corey has, let's talk about him because it's one you can relate to too and share your feedback. Because I have many and I love it. I love the success stories that I have, but Corey was very well known and liked and very experienced and a lot of diversity and so forth. But as often, that's not enough to really move your vision forward and your passions forward as a new entrepreneur outside of a corporate environment. Okay, there's some different strategies and also disciplines you need to learn as an entrepreneur. And he and I connected through LinkedIn, and we're just interacting with each other's posts. And he saw some of my live events and some of my, radio shows I've been on and different things. And we decided to have a conversation just to get to know each other better. And I say that because that's how I like to play. I'm not a salesperson. I can be, but I'm building partnerships. And because of that, I say that because of that conversation where I naturally listened and was genuinely engaging and automatically giving him some ideas because I can't help it. I have too many ideas in my head. I was serving him without hiring me. He stopped me in the middle of our conversation. He says, I need to tell you, I have talked to thousands of coaches. So many people knock on my door all the time to play with them. But you did right there what nobody else has ever done. You actually listened and you actually were genuinely gave me an idea that nobody else has even thought of, and you were looking out for me. What does it look like to play with you? And I have a video testimony from Corey. So what I share here is nothing secret. I have it out there on my site, actually, one of my prime cases, where he says, you should use me as a case study. When I came to you, I didn't have a plan. I didn't have a team. I didn't have any money in the bank. I didn't have any customers. I didn't have. 5 months later, I have multi-million-dollar accounts, a full team, executive board, traveling time. Now, is that reasonable? I've had that happen a few times. This usually takes a little longer, but it's not unrealistic to have those successes in your first year. And we still stay in touch. We've talked different times as he's grown, he's blossomed into other adventures. He's a serial entrepreneur, as you know. So I think that's a great example. And he's actually found the love of his life and got married recently. Something that when we talked and did his one-on-one life coaching alongside his leadership coaching was an area that he wanted to talk about and really work on. And I'm proud of him. I'm proud of the success that he continues to have.
Awesome. Yeah. And, I've known Cody as well. So that's a great story. He's a great guy. He's an inspirational guy, always there to help people. So on that note, Rene, let me just kind of change tracks a little bit and just kind of ask you a few questions to help our viewers understand your personality. Okay. So this is the tail end of the interview here. I want you to tell me, your favorite person in each of these different areas and why they are your favorite person, right? So that's the question. So the first one is in the field of sports. So what's a sports icon that's your favorite person?
Oh gosh. I like sports and I go to sporting events and I golf and all that. I don't follow, let me think here, because I don't follow it like that and in having a favorite. I would say maybe just one that comes to mind. I'm not going to say his name right, probably, but he's a golfer, PGA. Is it McIlroy? What is his name? You help me. Huh? No. He's been in there a long time. The reason why I talk about him is because he's very generous with the younger players. It's I'm gonna have to look it up now. We're not gonna spend time on this, but is it McIlroy or what is his name?
Rory McIlroy.
McIlroy. I mean, he's a family man. I'll have to put up in the comments who it was because I know who it is. I can see it. But and this is how much I really follow. But the reason why it stands out to me initially is because I've seen different stories and how he hasn't let his personal success leave him from his family success, and I just really think that's an honorable value, and the way that he serves and shows up in his community and supports the younger players. And so I like that. I like the way that his style of giving back and being generous and also having values. So I would say that. How's that?
Got it. Next one is a role model in the business, a business leader essentially.
One that I think is a power zone leader, because I like to label him as that, is Richard Branson. I followed him through the years. Corey knows him. He promises me that he's going to get me a personal introduction one of these days. Okay, wow. He's on my bucket list. 1 degree away. Okay, his wife knew him and so forth. His ex, and so reason why is that someone can stand up there and say everything, but with him you don't have to. You just watch. You can see the way the employees feel about their work, the way they're allowed to be innovative, the way that he takes care of their well-being in the culture, the unique things he does in the culture with them, the way that he gives back to the environment and serves the legacy that I talk about. I mean, there's so many, and he really knows his value and speaks to it. And even though he's multi-mega rich and so forth, when you see him speak, he's a very genuine, down-to-earth, humble person. And so there's many factors, but look at his work, look at his body of work, and you can see that he's a true leader in all the sense.
Got it. Next one is a historical figure that you want to be and why.
One of the women that I speak about when I present is Eleanor Roosevelt. She helped in so many ways bring the women's voice. And in fact, she's the one that helped pen and get past the Declaration of Human Rights. But did you know that she's the one that had the very first blog ever?
Oh,
She did. And that they didn't call it there back then, but she did. And it was her voice that really got out there and changed some landscape in politically and in human rights and well-being. And also being a voice to help her husband, even though it wasn't always easy. There's challenges in that household, you know, his background, Roosevelt. But to me, she kept her grace and her poise, and still also went after her own dreams and goals, and wasn't afraid to have a voice as a woman in a time and age it was unheard of. And so I admire her. She's one of the people I admire.
Got it. Awesome. Well, on that
Did I pass? Do I get the mug?
you get the mug. I will send it to you, or I'll hand it over to you. Hopefully, one of the days when we meet. Rene lives in Scottsdale, so that's a golfer's paradise, and it's always a fun place to go. But Rene, thank you so much for the time today. Is there anything else you want to share before we wrap up?
No, I just want, this is your listeners, you bring them value all the time. And I am proud to watch your personal growth. And you're right. It took probably like 7 discussions to get you on board, but that's okay because you're here and you're stuck to my mood now. And but you are so genuine, and you're very passionate about what you do. You have so many talents and strengths, and the different offerings that you have are valuable for those that want to reach out. And I know that you like me, like attracts like values. You really look out for your customers, and you really genuinely want to serve. And so I'm honored to be here because you're a reflection of me and what I'm trying to do in the world around me.
Oh my God. Awesome. Great. On that amazing positive light where I feel like I'm on cloud 9, I will, let's call it an end. Thank you so much, Rene, for the time today. And listeners, we will be back very soon with another episode and an amazing guest. Till then, goodbye.